Let's start the homework questions for the next section here. And for question number 1, we have a review problem where we need to construct a table of values for this linear function, and we also need to find the slope and y-intercept. Okay, so let's go ahead and find the slope and y-intercept first because we can get that right through the equation. So I have y equals to 2/3, right? So 2/3 will be my slope, and my y-intercept should be 1. So we can write that as 0, 1. Okay. After that, we need to construct a table of values, and one thing that I recommend is take a look at your slope. Your slope is 2/3, but I recommend looking at the denominator of the slope, which is a 3. That 3 is going to be very important for you to construct your table of values. Since you have a 3 on the denominator, I would actually let your first x value be a 3. And then the key trick here is you want to go up by multiples of 3, and then you also want to go down by multiples of 3. So if your first number is 3, the next multiple of 3 is going to be a 6, then a 9, then a 12. And then once you run out of space, just go backwards by essentially subtracting 3, which gives you 0, -3, and -6. These will give you all the nice integer values for y. Okay, so let's check it out with x equals to 3. This is how we would construct our table now. I have y equals to 2/3, and my first x value is going to be a 3, and then we add the y-intercept, which is +1. Now, I recommend that you divide first. So 3 divided by 3, so 3 divided by 3 is 1, and then 1 times 2 is 2, and then 2 plus 1 gives you a value of 3. So you get a very nice answer for 3 when x equals to 3. Okay, let's go ahead and try the next y value, which is going to be 6. So 2/3 times the next value of 6, and then you just add the 1. Now once again, I recommend that you divide first. So 6 divided by 3. So 6 divided by 3 is going to be 2, and then 2 times this 2 gives you 4. 4 plus 1 gives you 5. Okay. And if you want, we can do one last one here, and then the pattern should be obvious here, but we'll practice one more x value of 9 here, and let's just see what we get. So once again, we divide first, so 9 divided by 3 is 3, and 3 times 2 is going to be 6, and 6 plus 1 will give you a 7. Okay, so 3, 5, 7. So basically you're going up by 2, so this is going to be a 9, and then if you want to complete the rest of the table, then just go down by 2. So this would be 3 minus 2 is 1, minus 2 is -1, and then -3. So that's how you can construct your table of values if you're given a fractional slope like that. Okay, let's move on to question number 2 now. Question number 2, we need to distribute here. I recommend that you times the numbers with the numbers. So I have a 4/3 and a 9, right? So I need to multiply 4/3 and the 9. So I recommend that you take your 9 and divide by 3. So 9 divided by 3 is 3. And if you multiply it by 4, 3 times 4 gives you 12. All right, so that's how you multiply the numbers with the numbers. All right, so 4/3 times 9 gives you the 12. Okay, then multiply the letters with the letters, right? So a squared times a is a to the power of 3, and then b cubed times b squared is b to the power of 5. You just add 3 plus 2. All right, so 12a cubed b to the power of 5. Moving on to letter B, another distribution question. So we have 3/4 times the 16, so multiply numbers by numbers. So if I have my 16 and divide that by 4, 16 divided by 4 is 4, and 4 times 3 is going to give me my 12. Okay, and then my a squared and my single a, so multiply the letters with the letters. So a squared times a will give me a to the power of 3. And then finally I have b cubed and a single b, so b cubed times b gives me b to the power of 4. And then we're going to multiply this all by 2ab plus the 3. Okay, so same thing here. You want to multiply number with number. So if I distribute, 12 times 2 is going to be 24. So number times number. And then I have my letter a cubed and a. So a cubed times my single a will give me a to the power of 4. Okay, and then I have my b to the power of 4, and b to the power of 4 times my b gives me b to the power of 5. There's a plus sign there. And then finally, I just multiply this 12 with that 3, right? So times number times the numbers with the numbers. So 12 times 3 is going to be 36. And then we just tag along the a cubed and b to the power of 4. And that's your final answer for 2b. Okay, let's move on to question number 3. Solve for x and verify that your solution works. Okay, so let's go ahead and apply FOIL here. So x times x gives me x squared. X times positive 3 gives me positive 3x. All right, then let's just work the inside now. So 1 times x will give me positive x, and 1 times 3 is positive 3, and then I can minus the x squared, and then that would equal to 15. Okay, so one thing you have to do now is you need to collect like terms here. So I have my x squared and this negative x squared, so those will cancel off. If I add 3x plus x gives me 4x, so 4x plus 3 equals to 15. Okay, then we can subtract 3 from both sides. If we do that, we get 4x equals to 12, and then from there you can divide both sides by 4. The 4's cancel off, and x would just give you a value of 3. Okay, so there's my answer there, and then the next part is we need to verify that our answer works. And when you're verifying your answers, we know our answer was just 3, right? So all these x's just become 3. Okay, so just see if you can do the math in your head. 3 plus 1 is 4, 3 plus 3 is 6, minus, and then 3 squared is 9. Okay, so we just got to see if the left-hand side equals to the right-hand side. 4 times 6 is 24, minus the 9, does that give me 15? And then if you actually go 24 minus 9, that should definitely give you 15. So that should be it for this one. So 24 minus 9, yeah, so we get 15 equals to 15. And that's it. That's how you can verify your answer there. Okay, let's keep on moving along. Okay, so I have a power 2 here, a binomial to the power 2, so we can use the square double square technique. So if I square this, so 2x times 2x is 4x squared. And if I multiply the 2x and the 1, I get a 2x. And if I double that by timesing by 2, I get plus 4x. And then finally, you take this final the 1 there, and you square that. 1 times 1 is positive 1. So that's the square double square technique. And then from there, I'll just erase all that. I have a negative 2x, and then we just multiply it through by distributing. So this gives me a negative 4x squared, and a minus negative 2x times 3 is minus 6x equals to 9. Okay, from there, if you want, you can just remove the brackets here. So 4x squared plus 4x plus 1 minus the 4x squared minus the 6x equals to the 9. I can see that this 4x squared and that negative 4x squared, that cancels off. I have a 4x and a negative 6x, so 4 minus 6 gives me negative 2x plus the 1 equals to the 9. Okay, from there we can just subtract 1 from both sides. So I get negative 2x would equal to the 8. Divide both sides by negative 2, so 8 divided by negative 2 is going to be negative 4. So negative 4 is my final answer there. And then we now need to verify our solution here. So anytime you see an x here, I would just change all those x's to a negative 4 as indicated in my answer from the previous question there. So let's just do the math here. 2 times negative 4 is going to be negative 8. So negative 8 plus 1 all squared minus 2 times negative 4. And then on the bracket here I have 2 times negative 4, which is negative 8, plus the 3 equals to the 9. Okay, so now we've got to just finish off the math here. Negative 8 plus 1 is going to be negative 7 squared. Negative 2 times negative 2 is going to be positive 8. And then I have a negative 8 plus 3, which is going to be negative 5. And will that equal to the 9? All right, well, let's figure this out. Negative 7 squared is going to be 49. And then minus, and then we have 8 times 5. So 8 times negative 5 will be a negative number, and 8 times 5 is going to be a 40. And does that equal to the 9? And it sure does. 9 equals to 9. There we go. We verified that the left-hand side equals to the right-hand side, and our final answer is indeed x equals to negative 4. Okay, let's go on to another question here. Question number 4, solve for x. From here, let's go ahead. I guess we can just remove the brackets here. So x minus 5, and have a minus sign here. We just distribute that into the brackets. So it's negative x minus the 1 equals. And then we can just remove the brackets here because there's nothing in front of the brackets. I have another negative sign, so go ahead and distribute that. That's negative x minus the 5. Okay, so just clean everything up on the left-hand side here. So this x and that negative x cancels off. 5 minus 1 is going to be 4 equals. And then 3x minus x is going to be 2x. And I have a plus 1 and a negative 5. So negative 5 plus 1 is going to be negative 4. Okay, and then we can just add 4 to both sides. So plus 4 there and a plus 4 there. If we do that, I get 2x equals to an 8. And then divide both sides by 2, and x would equal to 4. Alright, so there's your final answer for that one. Okay, that's it for the algebra review. Let's move on to the arithmetic sequence questions. So for this arithmetic sequence, I want to find the common difference. Okay, well, this is going to be your first term. This is going to be your second term. And once you have identified your first two terms, you can find the common difference by writing out D. And the common difference is really your second term minus your first term. Okay, so my second term is going to be negative 1, and then I subtract my second term is going to be a negative 4, and then I subtract my first term, which is a negative 1. And that gives me a negative 4, and then a negative sign gives me positive 1, right? So plus 1, and my common difference will be negative 3. All right, so my common difference is negative 3, and we can also see that by inspection. And if I want to find my fifth term, let's go ahead and just write out the terms here. Here's my first term, second term, third term, fourth term, and my fifth term, we just subtract 3, which is negative 13. So this is my fifth term right there. So my fifth term is going to be negative 13. Okay, find the 24th term. Now for the 24th term, you're just essentially using the formula, which is Tn equals to your first term plus brackets n minus 1 times the common difference of D. Okay, so that means n is going to be 24 in this case, so I'll write my T here with my 24 equals to my first term. Now if I go back to my sequence here, my first term, we've identified that to be negative 1, right? So your first term is always essential, so I'll write my negative 1 here, plus. Now, since this is 24, that means your n value has to be 24. So 24 minus the 1, and my common difference is going to be negative 3. Okay, and feel free to go to a calculator at this stage if you like. So here's negative 1, and then we're adding 23 times negative 3, and this will give me a negative 1. And yeah, feel free to just go to a calculator if you like at this stage. So 23 times negative 3 gives me negative 69, and negative 1 minus 69 gives me negative 70. So my 24th term is negative 70. Okay, great. Which term, for letter D, which term has a value of negative 55? So for this particular question, you want to write out your formula again. Okay, so it's telling you that one of the term values is negative 5, and we need to figure out which term value that is. Is that my 10th term, my 12th term, my 100th term? I don't know. Okay, so the way we do this particular problem is generally when they give you term value, you can denote that to your last value here, or your general term here. So Tn in this case, let's just denote that to negative 55. Okay, so that value has a value of negative 55. Now my first term, as indicated in my previous problem, was negative 1. So this is negative 1 plus n minus 1. And my difference is negative 3. Okay, so just remember here, when you're doing these kind of problems here, you want to recognize that your general term is Tn. So this n and this n, they're connected, right? So if I know my term value is negative 55, I can easily find what value or what term it has that value of negative 55, which is denoted by the letter n. Okay, so that's a very good way to kind of set up this question. You let Tn be negative 55, and then your goal is to find this value of n, and that will tell you what term value that is. Okay, let's go ahead and do a little bit of algebra here now. So I recommend that you just add the 1 here, add the 1. So negative 55 plus 1 will be negative 54 equals 2, bracket n minus 1 times by the negative 3. Now at this stage here, I don't recommend that you distribute by the -3. I don't recommend that. In fact, I recommend that you divide by -3 and divide that side by -3. And -54 divided by -3 should give you a nice value of 18. And then on the left-hand side, you just have your n minus 1. And then if you add the 1, you get 18 plus 1, which is 19. So the 19th term in the sequence has a value of -55. Okay.